Hello, I am Lantana Yusuf Oderinde and welcome to Midday Vibe. Constitutional review is an ongoing process aimed at amending the 1999 Constitution to identify shortcomings and reflect the needs and aspirations of Nigerians. The current review, which began in 2024, focuses to address some very key issues. One of them is local government autonomy. Today, I am being joined right here at our Caliphate studios by Professor Abubakar Abdullahi, Professor of Government and Politics, Department of Political Science, Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto. Sir, you're welcome to the program.
Good day, viewers and the listeners.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
All right, talking about the constitutional review, the House of Representatives has kind of played a very key role in this review. What do you make of this constitutional review? Is it even necessary? Because some have criticized, saying that there has been alterations about 4 or 5 times, and what difference will this make?
Well, a review of constitution of any country, especially a federal state like ours, is part and parcel of government and politics of such a nation. Even though in recent times we have seen regular and recurrent or regular occurrences of this activity in the National Assembly, nonetheless, in other climes, especially the developed democracies, this kind of reviews are usually tied to election periods, when citizens will be given opportunity, generally not just to organize this kind of platforms for reviews, but citizens are generally given opportunity to express their opinion concerning important national questions that affects the survival of such a federation or such a nation state. So it's normal and is an integral part of state development process. But the rate at which it is going in the country, and perhaps the level of commitment that we have as a people, I think calls a lot of attention that, look, we don't need to have this kind of things every now and then. In fact, even a governor, I think from the South has warned this committee of having this regular reviews concerning our constitution. We should have made it in such a way that reviews can be done easily without organizing this kind of jamboree platforms or exercises. So it is, of course, it is normal and regular, but I think we need to find a way and means of doing it so that we can make it more systematic, more sustainable, and of course, something that can be implemented for a long period of time. We don't need to be reviewing our constitution every now and then. Yes.
Okay. So this constitutional review,
Yes.
Is aimed at reflecting the needs and aspirations of Nigerians.
That's right.
What are these key areas? What are Nigerians aspiring? What are their needs? And what are the key areas that this constitution review should focus on?
Well, remember that these areas are identified by the National Assembly itself, not by Nigerians. Yes, there is that particular argument that, look, those things that are contained and listed for review are things that have been defined by the National Assembly themselves. Perhaps whether they have consulted their constituencies or not, that is a different thing altogether. Okay. That I cannot, I think, explain because I'm not part of that particular assembly. Nonetheless, there are a number of things that have been listed for review, which I think include devolution of powers, how we can devolve powers to the lower levels of government, the question of local government autonomy that you have rightly pointed out, revenue sharing and mobilization, issues that have to do with independence of the judiciary, independence of the legislature, labor-related matters like salaries, whether it should remain on exclusive list of items or should be scaled down to concurrent list of items, the question of state and the local government creation, the state police, electoral reform. These are some of the fundamental issues I think that are contained in the current review, and they cut across different arms of government or arms of the state, I can say.
Okay, let's talk about the local government autonomy.
That's right.
Last week, should I say, the Supreme Court
exactly
ruled in favor
Yes.
of the local government autonomy.
That's right.
And there were mixed reactions.
That's right.
Because I remembered watching an interview, and a senior advocate of Nigeria, precisely Babatunde Fashola,
that's right,
did not support the ruling of the Supreme Court.
That's right.
What do you think about it?
Well, I think the politics of local government autonomy in this country should just go beyond pronouncements being made by the Supreme Court of the country. It contains a lot of things, and there are a lot of issues that, if we are serious about it, would have trashed and resolved this problem since the immediate past administration of this country. And I think I always argue that the way and manner through which we are handling this issue of local government autonomy, especially by the political leadership, seems not to have any kind of seriousness on it. We are not just serious about it, and that is why we are playing lip service with it. Ordinarily, there are a lot of things that need to be done, and the political leadership and other critical stakeholders should have sat down and think deeply and critically to deal with those kind of issues. As I have said earlier on, it's not just about making pronouncements. There are certain things that need to be done in the Constitution.
Okay.
For example, there are certain provisions in the Constitution that must be reviewed or expunged in totality if at all we want to realize the idea of local government autonomy.
Okay.
In fact, last week I presented an inaugural lecture, number 54, in Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto, which I titled Dining with the Devils, Redefining Government and Politics in Nigeria for Redefining Government and Politics for Consolidation of Democracy in Nigeria. This is one of the areas that I worked on and I harped on. That look, it goes beyond mere political rhetorics by a political class or by a simple statement being made by the Supreme Court of the land. There are certain sections that we need to expunge. For example, we have Section 8 and we have Section 162, and there are various subsections, which essentially talks about state and the joint local government committee or project, so to say, and then the question of local government autonomy. These major provisions in the Constitution must be reviewed or expunged completely if we want to guarantee autonomy of local government council. Then there is also a subsection under that Section 162, which speaks about giving local government areas 10% of state IGR. Many of us are not aware of it, or we downplay that particular section. The Constitution is very clear, yes, that every state of the federation must allocate 10% of its internally generated revenue and share it to the various local government areas that makes up that particular state. How often do we hear about that from states?
At all.
People are not even aware of it. Hardly you hear about it. So it is important for us to work on this particular section and strengthen this particular section if at all we want local government areas to be autonomous and of course independent. Then more importantly, local government areas must also do their own bidding. You cannot just fold your arms and be going around with your cup in hand begging for money to come from the center for you to be autonomous. For you to be autonomous, there are certain sources of revenue that local government areas are empowered by the law to, as a matter of fact, utilize. They have their own IGR sources. How often do you hear local government areas talking about these IGR sources? In fact, they need to be reactivated. Collection of local weekly market revenue from the various local markets that we have, registration of vehicles, licensing of this kind of small means of transportation, and many others. They are there. I think they are there in the Constitution. So you don't hear about them. You don't see local government making use of this kind of sources of revenue. So where, for example, you handicapped yourself by refusing to collect revenue from the sources that are constitutionally legal for you, then there's no way you can ensure your autonomy. So apart from talking about autonomy coming in terms of money coming from the center directly to the local government areas, they must also work seriously to reactivate these various sources of revenue for them to complement what comes from the center. Likewise, autonomy is beyond financial autonomy. There's also administrative aspects autonomy. Of it. So there's no way local councils can be autonomous and independent if they are financially independent but administratively being controlled by their state governors. So that area too must be worked on. For example, the role of Ministry for Local Government Affairs and Community Development. Should they continue to, as a matter of fact, preside over the activities of local government areas, or should we reduce their role to just supervisory role or advisory role, as the case may be? This is very important. Then the question of state electoral commissions, which I think is responsible for conducting and organizing local government election. You can't detach all this from autonomy of local government council. We have to reduce the overbearing influence of state governors on the activities and of course operations of the state independent electoral commission, especially in terms of funding and appointment of key principal officers of this local government, this electoral commission. And so long as state governors continue to interfere and have total control of these electoral commissions at state level, there is no way we can guarantee autonomy of local councils. Likewise, there are various states houses of assembly local government laws which also have direct connection to independence or autonomy of local government councils. These various laws have to be re-examined, have to be, as a matter of fact, reviewed and modified so as to ensure that local government areas remain autonomous and independent, just like any other level of government that we have in a serious federation.
Okay, so if the Supreme Court, which is the highest decision,
the highest court of the law
in Nigeria, if the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of the local government,
that's right,
why would the state governors be a hindrance to local government autonomy? Last week when there was the public hearing in Kano,
that's right,
a senator, very concerned senator,
that's right,
expressed his fears and concerns and warned that governors should not hinder local government autonomy. So I am wondering, if the Supreme Court has ruled, shouldn't the governors just comply? Because looking at what Fashola said, I think it's a broader sentiment. I think it's a broader sentiment of most of the governors. He was one-time governor in Nigeria, Lagos State to be precise. So I think it's a broader sentiment, a broader shared sentiment with other governors.
I think that's why earlier on I argued that it is beyond just making pronouncement. After the pronouncement, there are a lot of work that need to be done. Why state governors are hindering the whole progress is because they always remember that there is a provision in the constitution which permits them to jointly finance and fund projects and programs across their various states. That has not been expunged. Therefore, that gives them the legal status to hinder every attempt or effort being made by the Supreme Court of the land to ensure that local councils are autonomous. That issue of control over funding of electoral commission is also a major factor. They decide and determine who becomes local government chairman.
Yeah.
So even if, for example, today we said that, look, autonomy has been granted. Governors have allowed you people to have allowed local government areas to get their own money directly from the center. That political interference will always be there unless these sections of the constitutions are removed or are expunged. Then, to be fair to the state governors, some of them, if not all of them, honestly speaking, had been involved in funding local government projects, especially those projects that are capital intensive. So what do we do with this kind of projects, especially those projects that have not been completed or have not been completely paid? Who will bear the cost? If, for example, we said that local government areas go with your own money, that thing have to be negotiated. There are also loans and the grants. The states and the local government areas have also to collectively enjoy it together. Each one of them have taken certain percentage. That particular area have to also be resolved. How do we do that? Who will bear the repayment? And will the repayment be renegotiated with this new development of autonomy? How much could each and every local government be able to
generate
to pay back in terms of this repayment? So that's why I said it goes beyond just making a statement by Supreme Court. A lot of things need to be done. What the government should have done is immediately after that pronouncement to swing into action by setting up a committee, a tripartite committee for that matter, comprising of representation from the various layers of government and from the various arms of government, so that all these things will be worked out before the proper implementation of the autonomy, or the proper implementation of autonomy of local government areas. We need to do something serious, and we have to be serious as a people if at all we want to guarantee this autonomy of local government areas. If you go to other federations, local councils doesn't need to wait for revenue from the center for them to be able to pay salaries or to execute development projects. They reactivated their sources of revenue. They get grants from the center directly. Therefore, they don't even need to look upon the states for them to continue to execute their programs and projects. And that's why I always argue, wherever opportunity offers itself, that look, a federal system of government, just like the one we practice in Nigeria, is always a work in progress. As we move on, as activities unfold, we look at where our fault lines are, we look at where our problems are, and then we begin to initiate processes of amending and reviewing our laws so as to reflect our desires, so as to reflect our needs, so as to reflect our demand as a people. And unless we do that, there is no way we can guarantee our autonomy. Not only autonomy of local government areas, all this kind of constitutional reviews that we have been doing will end up as a fruitless exercise.
The expiry date is December 2025.
That's right.
Is this doable?
Well, it depends on the commitment of the key stakeholders. Right now, it is still going on, and there are a lot of things that need to be done even after this public hearings.
It's been on since 2024. It has
been on since 2024, and there are a lot of things that need to be done. For example, they have to aggregate all the opinion of the citizens, presented before the National Assembly. There is a need for concurrence from the two chambers of the National Assembly, i.e. the Senate and of course the House of Representatives. They have to agree on those areas that will be reviewed or will be modified. Two, it has to also get 2/3 blessings, 2/3 of the National Assembly. Thereafter, it has to also go through 2/3 of the 36 and the FCT houses. Sorry, we don't have an assembly at the FCT, but it has to go through 36 states of the federation to go through their various houses of assemblies for their blessings.
Where are we now?
I think we are still at the level of hearings. So there are a lot of things that need to be done. Even after it goes through the 36 houses of assemblies, it has to also secure 2/3 majority of these houses of assembly, which means they must get the blessing of 24 states of the federation before any alteration or amendment can be approved in the current review process. So it requires a lot of commitment, a lot of things to be done before we can get there. That is why many people are saying that, look, that December timeline may not be realistic.
There might be an extension.
There might be an extension.
And it's possible to have an extension.
And it's possible. And in fact, my worry is, why should we even have a timeline for a review process? New things may likely come up even by the end of that December, which may require the same kind of things to be done. And that's why if you go to United States of America, hardly you hear them organizing this kind of public reviews. Public hearings, or constitutional reviews, so to say. They integrate everything that citizens want to be reviewed in the Constitution in their ballot paper on election day. State creation, do you want it? It features on your ballot paper. It's just either yes or no. Revenue, should it be directly sent to local government areas? Yes or no. So you find out that ballot papers from the various states of United States of America contain 15, 10, 20 list of items that require attention from the American Congress and from the various state houses of assemblies that they have across the United States of America. So you don't need to spend a lot of money, organize these expensive hearings, members moving from one end to another, aggregating the opinion. After all, are we even sure that it is really the opinion of the people? When you look at how these kind of exercises are being conducted, in most cases they are elites that attend this kind of conversations. Hardly you see our rural poor who are directly affected by some of these kind of issues being given an opportunity to speak or to talk or to present a memo on behalf of local communities or local societies. So I think we need to do something different if at all we want to make this kind of things a reality in our country.
Oh, well, it's still Midday Vibe coming to you live from our Caliphate studios. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we will continue the discussion on constitutional review with focus on local government autonomy. Let's take a short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. It's still Midday Vibe, and here at our Caliphate studios is Professor Abubakar Abdullahi, Professor of Government and Politics, Department of Political Science, Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto. You might want to be a part of the conversation. Do well to call on 090-6000-2022. That's the number to call. We're discussing constitutional review with focus on local government autonomy. Professor Abubakar, what would you say is the implication of the continued neglect of local government autonomy?
I think, in fact, every keen observer of events in the country could attest to the fact that things have not been going well or the way they are supposed to be at a local level. And I think this could be connected to the kind of neglect in terms of funding that local councils have suffered over time. We have turned them into like graveyards with virtually nothing. In fact, a local government chairman in the current Fourth Republic, especially in the northern part of Nigeria, cannot even afford to incur an expenditure of 200,000 naira. That is to tell you the level of starvation that these local councils have gone through. In fact, if we go back to history, memory lane, the whole idea of behind local government areas was to get people closer to the government.
Yes.
Especially rural communities, where states and the federal government cannot reach out. And because of our diversity as a nation, in terms of our demands and ethnic composition, local councils are set up to take care of certain rural demands and the desires of the people, the immediate needs of the people. Rural feeder roads, drinking water, primary or basic education, community development, all these are rural electrification. These are major functions and responsibilities of local councils. So where they are given such kind of, where they have available funds to execute this kind of projects, I'm sure sky will not even be the limit, but will be the horizon for the development of our local communities. And therefore that kind of push of people from rural areas moving in their numbers into urban centers and communities, becoming nuisance and overstretching our infrastructure in urban centers, will be drastically reduced.
I'm sorry, let me pick this call. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon. Please, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Okay, my name is Aminu from behind UBA.
Okay, Aminu Yau from behind UBA. What's your question or contribution?
My contribution is that you see this issue of local government autonomy. This government, they don't want to reduce it. They don't want to reduce this local government because of what they get from them.
Okay.
Because they are controlling their finances. They don't allow them to do anything. For example, now when you take the example of Sokoto State, what are these local government doing? They're doing nothing. They're just like graveyards, you know. They are being controlled. They don't have anything. They don't have this autonomy. You know, the professor said that, you know, about this thing called, that is a woman there. I don't working on it. Yeah, I'm working on it. And this, the professor said there is essentially a section in the constitution that give that power to the government on this local government. Unless they cancel or to remove that section, they will still continue to apply everything of the local government. They don't want to leave it. Now, even if you say that local government is frustrated, there's no local government. You know who is the chairman of local government? He's the commissioner of our local government. He's the one controlling everything. They don't see the other fight. They don't do anything.
Okay. Hello. Mr. Aminu Yawa, are you still there? Okay. I think we lost that. All right, so you heard what he said.
That's right.
I don't know if he's going to call back, but you were answering the question on the implication of continued neglect.
That's right.
Yes.
So when we neglected them in terms of proper funding, the implication would be disastrous. We have seen proliferation of rural banditry activities, which I think have now metamorphosed into a serious national problem, if not even a regional problem. Let's take even, for example, the phenomena of armed banditry in Zamfara State, which have virtually consumed the entire Northwest and is expanding to become a major regional problem across West African sub-region. So if we don't do our homework very well at the local level and ensure that these local structures and institutions are well funded and are very effective to address local needs of the people, then this kind of problems of conflicts, rural neglect will always characterize.
Hello. Hello. Good afternoon. Please, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Mr. P calling from Arkilla.
Okay, Mr. P from Arkilla. Question or contribution?
Contribution.
Okay.
First of all, I want to get the topics right. I think you're talking about the constitutional amendment process that is ongoing right now.
Yes, constitutional review with focus on local government autonomy.
Okay, we focus on local government.
Yes, autonomy.
Okay. Okay. Now, you see, we have where we are coming from. To be honest with you, when the local government are having their autonomy, the field, they perform. You see a situation whereby people only come to work when it's time to pay salary. And most of the local government, you don't have any budget on the ground. There's so much corruption. You know, there's a reason why the process was reversed to state having an eye on them. So I think, well, I don't want to generalize. Some are corrupt, some are not competent. You should not be generalized. They should have their autonomy. And that's it. Like EFCC and ICPC, they should put more eye on them so that money helps them and you can be sure.
Okay.
But I would have loved to speak more on the generally on the process of amending resource control in this country.
Okay.
But since the topic is not directed on local government, I digress. So I would just like to leave it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. P from Arkilla. Thank you so much.
So the implications are enormous. Even effectiveness of local structures and institutions to support our consolidation of democratic governance will not be there.
Okay. I'm sorry. Hello.
Hello, madam.
Good afternoon, sir. Okay, thank you, Aminu Yau. Yes, please. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, you see, this issue of local government autonomy, something has to be done because even the professors that said that they have to do something with the constitution there because, you know, there's a section there in the constitution. Are you with me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
There's a section there in the constitution that gives this governors the right to hold this account or joint account or all this. So they have to move that one if I told they want this local government to have this autonomy.
Okay.
And then this issue of this electoral committee, it's not good. Because, you know, if you see the election conducted in this state now, in this local government, what happened? And if you look at what happened in Lagos, that government, that party that is on that government is the one that will do everything that the local government. So, hello, are you with me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So there is this that the government to do something because these governors are not ready to give this local government. They don't need it because they are holding their finances. Now look at our local government now. As I said, they are just like crazy. They're not doing anything. Are you with me?
Yes, we are with you.
Yes, the local government chairman cannot spend 500,000 unless we send this request to the commissioner of local government for approval. But all this, how would the commissioner there be issuing orders to a local government chairman
Chairman.
which is supposed to be autonomous? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Aminu Yau. Thank you for your contribution. Sorry, I keep interrupting you because the calls just keep coming.
So I think it has a lot of implication. Apart from even rural neglect that most of our rural communities will go through, there's also this issue of making these institutions to become very strong. No democracy can survive and get consolidated without very strong and vibrant local structures and institutions everywhere in the world. So we have to make them to become strong. And the only way they can become strong is for them to be autonomous financially and administratively, to be able to carry out their constitutional mandate and their responsibilities. Mind you, local government areas are also recognized by the Constitution, just like the way the Constitution recognizes the states and the federal government of Nigeria. If you go to our 1999 Constitution, there is a whole list of all 774 local government areas that we have in the country, giving them recognition by the Constitution. So by that listing alone, they ought to be independent from other layers of government. You can imagine if federal government is doing the same thing the state governors are doing to local government areas, what will all happen at the end of the day? So we need to strengthen these institutions. If at all we want, as a matter of fact, to promote our democracy. No, there is no way we can promote democracy without effective and efficient local institutions. More importantly, if you look at our economy, in the past, we have 3 layers of people in our economy. And that was why in those days, poverty was a bit low in terms of severity than what we have today. There has always been the middle class. And local institutions and structures are responsible for the creation of that middle class. In the past, the middle class in Nigeria are small-scale traders, low-income earners, and even public servants. Nowadays, because of the neglect that local councils have suffered from the states and the leverage neoliberal economic policies that cannot connect with the reality of people, that particular class has gradually gone into extinction. And now we have a very big and wide gap. And that is why poverty is always on the rise in this country. So if at all we want to do something magical that will address and turn around our crisis of development in this country, then we have to fix our local institutions and local structures. More importantly, we must make these local government areas very vibrant, very effective. In the past, during the First Republic, local councils are very effective. They manage native police. They manages native courts. They manages native treasury. They manages primary and the local so basic
the center is not burdened.
Yes, the center is not that burdened with too many responsibilities. And at that particular point in time, we have different models of local administration. Every region was given the latitude to develop a local system of administration that is befitting for its own peculiarities. If you go to eastern part of the country, they operate what we call a council system of administration. If you go to the western part of the country, they operate chief and the council system of administration. And if you come down to northern part of Nigeria under our popular native authority system, we operate chief and council system. So these are the various models that have supported rural development and the regional development during the First Republic and even thereafter. And therefore, we must focus our attention on this local government system and make it more effective and efficient so that we can reduce some of the challenges of development that our society and communities are being faced with today.
Okay, some states are clamoring for more states. Some persons are clamoring for more states in Nigeria, especially up here in the north.
That's right.
Well, how well
I always want to run away from discourses about state creation. Why? Because they are too emotional. There are issues that are very emotional and sentimental in this country. Therefore, we try as much as possible
to avoid it.
To avoid such kind of. Nonetheless,
yes,
I want to put it to Nigerians. Now let's look at what we have, the current states that we have. The current local government system that we have.
How well are they faring?
How well are they doing in terms of carrying out their constitutional responsibilities?
Sure.
We are not only creating states for the purposes of political representation. They are there to serve as instrument of our development. Are they doing the right thing? If you take away Lagos, Kano perhaps, and I think river states. How many of these states that we have in the country have the capacity to generate revenue internally to take care of themselves, pay workers' salaries alone? If, for example, President Tinubu says today that, look, henceforth, there will be no allocation for the next 3 months, I doubt if there is any state that can survive that particular period of time. So these are important issues that we must look at. Are they desirable? Do we need more states and the local government areas to be created? It's just like the way we are proliferating public universities. We can't even maintain the existing one.
Oh, yes.
But we went ahead to create university or federal college of education or federal polytechnic for every constituency of a member of House of Representatives, simply for political reasons. We don't think of the benefits. We don't look at it from the cost and benefit approach. These are important issues that we have to look at. And we must take note of some of these kind of things, if at all we are really serious about changing the narrative about this country. Changing the narrative about this country. So we have taken too much of our time doing unnecessary things that may not take us to the promised land. And therefore, the earlier we recognize this, and the better for us. And I think we shouldn't, as a matter of fact, allow this current constitutional review exercise to go the way others have gone.
Exactly.
We have to do something serious, and we must remain committed to it, so that at least we can say that, yes, we have provided a foundation for Nigeria to become developed and to also get its democracy consolidated.
Okay, one last question for you, Prof.
Yes.
What will your top 3 priorities for local government reform be?
Devolution of powers.
Okay.
States need to have more responsibilities. Local councils have to, although they have it, but need to be funded properly. So after devolution, the next thing is autonomy of local councils. Then the third and the most important issue is revenue sharing and mobilization. How do we mobilize revenue? How do we share it? Not only mobilization and sharing. Utilization should also be a constitutional issue. For devolution of powers, which I think is a priority number 1, we must be mindful of our historical experiences. Of course, it is good to devolve powers, to transfer certain responsibilities to lower levels of government. But what will be the implication of doing so on our national integration and the unity?
Okay.
During the First Republic, we have seen that substantial powers being granted to regional governments. And we have seen each region competing seriously for development. The Sardaunas, the Awolowos, the Zikis. That's why we up to this point in time, we remember them.
Yes.
Because of what they have done in terms of performance.
Oh, yes.
But if you look at it at that point in time, while each region was developing progressively, our national unity and integration was gradually declining. And that was what led to ethnic frictions, hatreds, and all forms of animosities that we have up to this point in time. So what are we devolving? What are we transferring? Is very important. And whatever we are going to do in terms of devolution of powers and the responsibilities, we must always connect it to how effective can we manage our diversities. Other federations have introduced a system of transfer of power in which you don't even need to organize this kind of jamborees for powers to be reviewed, for transfer. This is certain responsibilities to be transferred to a particular level of government. For example, if you go to United States of America, you don't need to organize constitutional review for power on security to be transferred from the center, I think, to the lower level of government. For example, if you take the case, we can go back to I've forgotten this particular incident. I think it was in September 11, when the Al-Qaeda terrorist group attacked the United States.
Yes.
There was debate among US citizens on whether security in the hands of the center, home security for that matter, in the center is being managed effectively or otherwise. And quickly, with the opinion of the public, home security as a responsibility was transferred to the various states. And the center went ahead immediately to create a department of home security, appoint a secretary for that particular department, and allow individual states to also come up with the same kind of structures and institutions to facilitate home security. Likewise, if you go to US today, if, for example, local areas cannot take care of sanitation, take care of environment, take care of traffic regulation, take care of revenue generation, powers will easily go to the states or even the center if the case where the case may be. Where the local component are effective enough to discharge such kind of responsibilities, the responsibilities will be easily transferred to them. So they introduce a flexible model of government that gives the country and of course the key stakeholders opportunity to transfer power from time to time whenever the need arises, without even necessarily organizing this kind of jamborees which added more cost on governance than what we, honestly speaking, requires. For those that supported this kind of idea, I may argue that, look, Nigeria is not like US, we have diversity in this, we have diversity in that. But I always remind them that, look, a federal system of government is always a work in progress. All federations that adopted this model of government have this kind of diversities. There are those that are diverse in terms of religion. There are those that are diverse in terms of ethnic or tribal composition. And there are those that are diverse in terms of other things that we may not even thought of. And
they were still able to work things out.
I have multiple number of cases that I can cite. If you go to Lebanon, it's a federation. Power is shared between the three major sectarian religious groups in that particular country. Prime Minister's position go to the Sunnis as a major power block in the country. The position of Speaker of the Parliament goes to the Shiites as a major block in that particular country, while the position of the president of the state, that is what they call the head of state, goes to the minority Christians. So each of these segments is represented in the political equation of the country. If you go to Bosnia-Herzegovina, there are three major ethnic groups: the Bosnians, the Herzegovinians, the Croatians. They have what they call a system of power sharing that they call presidential council. Within a 4-year term of a president, power revolves shared between these three major ethnic group representatives after every 8 months.
Oh wow!
After every 8 months, power revolves around these three major ethnic groups. If you go to Malaysia, the position of head of state revolves around 9 major ethnic groups that constitute the states. After every 5 years, the position shifts to another ethnic group, and each group is represented by its own traditional institution. So these are some of the internal mechanisms that federation across the world put together, package themselves together,
and they're able to achieve something definite.
Substantial progress in terms of their unity and of course our development. So we have to learn this kind of lessons if at all we are serious about it.
Wow. Professor Abubakar Abdullahi, thank you very much for honoring this invitation.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that's all we have for you on Midday Vibe. The truth remains that local government autonomy must be granted. It's a true reflection of democracy. Thank you again, Professor Abdullahi, for coming. Thank you.